As parents, we often have gut feelings when something just isn't right. This can be especially true in co-parenting arrangements where one parent is struggling with addiction. If you're co-parenting with an ex-spouse who abuses alcohol, SoberLink can help. SoberLink's alcohol monitoring system is the most convenient, reliable, and reasonable way for a parent to provide evidence that they are not drinking during parenting time. The system's real-time alerts, facial recognition, and tamper detection ensure the integrity of each test, so you can be confident your kids are with a sober parent. With SoberLink, judges rest assured that your child is safe, attorneys get court-admissible evidence of sobriety, and your kids are able to maintain healthy relationships with both parents. To sign up and get $50 off your device, visit www.soberlink.com/empowered. Welcome to the Her Empowered Divorce Podcast. I'm your host, Beverly Price. With my 30 years of divorce coaching experience, I fully prepare you for the critical decisions that will impact you for the rest of your life. Through this podcast, you'll gain valuable insights on all aspects of divorce, from the logistical and financial to the emotional and legal. With expert guests, practical advice, actionable tips, and inspiring conversations, we'll explore how to master your divorce and emerge stronger on the other side. You don't have to face this alone. Let's start this journey together and create a better future. So, without further ado, let's get started with the show. Hi, beautiful. I'm so glad you're here today. It's my pleasure to introduce you to María Gabriella Martinez. María is a CDFA, founder, and divorce financial strategist at Ever After Wealth. One of the biggest fears in divorce is around money and finances. So why talk to a CDFA? Well, because they need to be an integral member of your base divorce team. And why, you might say? Because knowing your financial situation addresses one of the biggest fears in divorce. Maria's passion is supporting individuals, especially women, going through divorce. And after spending 16 years on the legal side, learning firsthand the financial challenges and insecurities that arise during the divorce process, her mission today is to challenge the status quo, delivering sensible financial guidance and education. To understand their circumstances, manage the life-changing financial decisions with the overwhelming process, and go through it with confidence. Hi, María. How are you doing today?
Hi, Beverly. I'm doing great, and I am so excited to be here. I am honored for the invitation. I am so looking forward to this conversation.
Oh, me too. You know how highly I think of you.
The feeling is mutual.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, for anybody that doesn't know, a CDFA stands for Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. So that now you understand her credentials in regard to the finances of divorce. So, María, tell me, why is it important to have a CDFA involved in the divorce process?
Well, because divorce is not just a legal problem. You are actually breaking a contract. Marriage, it is a contract, so it has a legal component. But I always say that a divorce is a monster with three heads, three-headed monster, if you will. There's the emotional component of divorce, obviously. There is the legal component of the divorce, but the financial component of the divorce is very important and significant. It's not more important than any of the other two factors. So the best way to actually tackle the situation and this process and make the good decisions is having the right experts to help you with each of the problems that arises from the divorce. That's the financial problem is one. You're dividing your finances as a married couple and going forward. So how do you better work through that? Having an expert. The expert to help you with that particular portion of the divorce is a CDFA, Certified Divorce Financial Analyst. So I would say you should not do it without. you have got to have each professional to help you with each portion of the divorce in order to be successful, right? Attorneys are very smart.
Right.
They're experts, but they're experts on the law. They're not experts on the finances. So how do you really make it work?
Correct.
You need a team. It takes a village. And one of the parts of that is having a CDFA, helping you through those very particular
Absolutely.
decisions.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And I suggest to all my clients that their team consists of a CDFA, a divorce coach, and your legal professional,
100%.
whether it's a mediator or an attorney or both.
100%. I agree 100%.
So, what really is the difference between a CDFA and a financial advisor or wealth advisor? Those types of roles, and when should each get involved in the process?
Okay, so as CDFA, as I mentioned, we are experts of the finances of divorce. Every financial decision you're going to make during your divorce process and up to the time where you have either a settlement or potentially a judgment, if you and your spouse cannot agree on something, all through that, you need to have an expert that knows exactly what happens with that particular situation. What happens if we have to divide retirement accounts? What happens if we own a business together, or
Right.
if one of the parties owns a business? Once you divide that business, there's consequences, there's tax consequences, there's going to be financial consequences. The person that knows about those consequences and how to better prepare you in order to move forward, knowing what to expect as
Yeah.
those divisions are happening, right? That is the expert, that's the CDFA.
Right.
We understand the tax consequences of everything. Uh, Finances are obviously, there's rules in finance, right? They're all the same rules. The problem that we run into
Right.
is that when you're going through a divorce, there's divorce law, and law is going to trump any financial rule that we have. And I think that's very important for people to
Right.
understand. When you're working with a financial advisor, you're working with a wealth manager, you're even working with a CFP, which is very important, certified financial planner. Well, they plan into the future. They arrange your investments according to your
Gotcha.
future goals. Well, when you're going through a divorce, it's very hard to establish your goals, right? Basically, your goal when you're going through a divorce
Right.
is let's survive this, let's make the best potential decisions and make it to the other side as best as possible. And then we can talk to a financial advisor, wealth manager, CFP, whichever advisor you choose to work with. The CDFA, in my opinion,
Totally
has to
agree.
work
Yeah.
from the very beginning. I think
Mm-hmm.
you should always work with a CDFA. I even recommend calling a CDFA before you call an attorney. I think once we
Mm-hmm.
can caught up to all of the financial issues of this couple, we're going to be very prepared as we move forward with the process, no matter what you do, mediation, collaborative, even litigation. And then you can hire your attorney. Now, the financial advisor, the CFP, in my case, because I am just a true CDFA, I have my licenses. I was a wealth manager at Merrill Lynch. I decided to move out of there and just work as a CDFA. And that's all work I do. So I cannot help my clients afterwards. So any potential investments you acquire because of the divorce, any retirement accounts, I can't help you really manage those afterwards. But I like to connect my clients with very trustworthy financial advisors or CFPs so they can kind of move forward. So in my case, I like to bring them on board right before we're ready to wrap up the settlement. So then they can start getting to know this
Right.
person and they can start planning on to the future, right? So they know what's coming, what could they do, and how they can make it work for them into the future. So in my opinion, they should get
Mm-hmm.
there right before so that relationship gets started as they move forward. But the CDFA from the very beginning, even if you're just thinking about a separation, even if you think that that's where you're heading in your relationship, I think you should always consult with a CDFA.
I also know from the clients we have that are mutual that it's important to consult you if a client's thinking about major purchases during the divorce and the implications of those. Is
That
that
is
right?
correct. So this is very interesting because this is where we say, okay, there's the law, right? So there's an implication, for example, in North Carolina, that as of the time of separation, when one of the parties moves out of the house, everything that happens after is considered separate property, right? So you want to buy a house, there's some documents that have to be signed by both parties, etc. But you could do it. There's other states, like for example, South Carolina, that it doesn't work like that. And the law is very different. And a lot of people are separated for a while before they decide to file. And everything that happens, even if you're separated in South Carolina, will be considered marital property. So I think it's very important that we know where we stand, where are we, and what kind of purchases with money buying this car that I want will be detrimental to your case. If you end up in front of a judge and you got to tell the judge, well, I spent all this money that was, marital on it. Well, that may be a problem. They may think that that's something that shouldn't have happened. Another big one is life insurance. Do not buy
Mm.
life insurance during the process of your divorce. Yes, most of my clients need life insurance. As you move forward, you're going to need to be secure for different reasons. You have children, your family, but you don't do that during the process. So it's kind of very important to understand what kind of financial decisions you can make without having to be part of the divorce process, but that they will affect the divorce process, if you will. So it's important that we have that conversation.
So if they're wanting to get some insurance or make a purchase, they should do that before they separate. Is that correct?
Okay, they could. I think you also had to be careful
Right?
because and it's different if you're going through the process in court. Litigation judges look at things differently. But it's very easy to see, for example, someone that doesn't spend any money, and then 3 months before the separation, all these things are being purchased. So that kind of bring a red flag. It's like,
Right.
wait a minute, this person knew where they were headed. They're using this money. Whatever debt you have at the date of separation is considered
Gotcha.
marital debt, and you went and did make this big purchase. And yes, technically your spouse is also an owner of whatever that purchase was, but the money has been spent, and they may be a debt. So in reality, I think you have to be very careful what decisions you make financially. If you're
Right.
even headed to divorce and you're not separated just yet, I would caution you to be very careful. Life insurance,
Gotcha.
ideally, everyone will have life insurance, right? Right way before they are considering a separation or a divorce. So yes,
Right.
you could do that, but I will caution it about that because let's say you're talking to a dependent spouse and they're going to have a budget and they're going to have expenses. Well, if you make any kind of purchases, even life insurance, when you know you're going to be separated, that increases your expenses for the month. And a judge may not look at that likely, like say, well, you created this big expense, now you're paying $500 a month for this life insurance that you didn't have all this time, and now you are asking for spousal support and you are actually spending more than you ever spent. So I think you have to be very careful because you have to be strategic
Gotcha.
at everything in life. And that's when the attorney comes into place. I mean, I can help with the financial decisions, but once you have a legal strategy, you have to be very careful what you do because in reality, this is a battle. You're trying to make a business decision here once you're splitting from your spouse. So you have to be very strategic about what you do, what you don't do.
Many of us have been taught to spend all our time, money, and energy investing in husbands, children, community, church, family, and others, but not ourselves. Divorce is not the time to do this. I'm Beverly Price, the empowering divorce coach who guides you on your journey before, during, and after. The next steps you will take set the stage for your entire divorce and life afterward. I help you prepare fully for what is to come, understand and navigate the process, come to terms with your emotions, avoid costly mistakes, and create an empowered life after. With the right support and guidance, you can move through the process with knowledge, strength, and confidence. Schedule a free consultation with me at herempowereddivorce.com. Let's journey to the other side of divorce together. And now let's get back to the show. I think you mentioned something that's so critical is the more successful your divorce is because that you can do it without emotion, to look at it as a business transaction. That's where
Yes,
I come in as a divorce coach to
yes,
help.
absolutely.
But I think you said that's so important because you need a clear head. These are important decisions that will affect you the rest of your life. So you need a clear head to deal with
Yes,
that.
and that's why it's so important the divorce coach as well. So if you ask me, ideally, what people would do is call the divorce coach call the CDFA, and then we'll talk to the attorney. I think that's how it should be, because you have to
Exactly.
live through your emotions, right? Okay, I've been through a divorce. It's not an easy task to go through all those emotions. There may be young kids involved, or even older kids involved. Even kids that are out of the house, they are affected by a divorce too. So I think it's very important that you work through the emotions, feel the emotions. You have someone as you have a divorce coach that helps you kind of channel those emotions. So that allows you to, when you come to me and I give you the information, you're in a better place to make those decisions, understanding their business decisions that are going to affect, like you said, the rest of your life. But you have to take that into consideration. You have to consider that there are emotions. Let's work through those emotions so we can make the best decisions, because I can give you all the information in the world, but
Right.
if you're not in a good emotional place to make those decisions, you're going to have a hard time making decisions, and you make the wrong decisions, because at the end of the day, it's my client's life. It's their decision. I try to give them all the tools and information, but I can't tell them what to do. So I really want them to be in a place where they are allowed to make the decisions.
A lot of times, I think what I hear from clients is they feel like because they have to pay an attorney, that a CDFA and a divorce coach is just an extra expense that's not necessary. But I think they don't realize how much money they can save in legal fees if they work with this triangle, if you will, of a divorce team. And there's lots of other professionals you can add into that: co-parenting, the CFP, as you mentioned, realtors, and so forth. But the core team of those three roles, I think, is absolutely essential. It's not a luxury; it's a
I agree. And
necessity.
that is true. It's not a luxury. And you can save so much money. Think about this. You call your attorney's office because your spouse said something that upset you. So you're going to call your attorney because it's the only person helping you to complain about how that made you feel, or how do you react, how to answer. Well, the
Right.
attorney is, again, is a law expert in the law, is not your coach, is not that person that can help you channel your emotions and how you better respond to be from coming from an empowered point, right? Well, you're paying a lot of money to that attorney for those 30 minutes you're talking to that attorney about
Right.
those emotions that had nothing to do with your legal strategy, that had nothing to do with the actual process. It's just pure emotions and reactions to situations, right? So I think it's very important that
Right.
people, especially women, understand that, first of all, they deserve the experts. We are not a luxury. We are a necessity, because you're going to pay a person for their expertise, and they're going to concentrate on their expertise and don't have to go do research about, wow, what this account means. What does it mean with this spouse is getting paid in options? How does it going to work in the overall settlement agreement and the financial point? Well, I don't have to research. I know it. So that saves money right there, because you don't
Right.
want the attorney to be doing that research.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you have a very interesting background that's different than a lot of CDFAs. You actually have legal experience, so you can bring so much more to the table. Tell us a little bit about that and what the benefit is to a divorcing woman.
So, yes, I worked in the legal side of divorce for 15 years before I decided to go on the financial side. And the difference is that I absolutely understand the process. I know how scary it is. I remember being on the legal side and being sitting with clients that they were terrified because of the numbers. And attorneys could not explain certain things about the numbers. And those clients had questions. And I saw that there was some kind of miscommunication. And even from a point of view where I didn't know finances, but hey, this sounds like a good deal to me. Why are you so afraid, and why are you so upset about it? Well, they are afraid and they're upset because they don't understand. And the attorneys cannot explain that. So that's why I transitioned into the financial world, because I realized there was a disconnect between these women going through a divorce and their attorneys trying to do the best they could, but without the right information because they were not experts. This actually allows me to
Right.
bring a different set of skills to my work, because I understand the process. I know how attorneys work. I know how the judicial process works. I know what happens in a courtroom. I understand how judges act. We never know what a judge is going to rule or how it's going to rule, but I know how they're going to think about it or the things they're going to look for in a person that is going through the process or this couple or what the attorney is presenting. So when I talk to my clients, when they tell me about their financial situation, their history, and I start collecting data, I already know the strategy for the attorney, which is because it's the muscle, right? I'm so trained into how this works. I know exactly how it's going
Right,
to work.
right.
So it allows me to communicate with their attorneys in a different way because I can talk their language. I totally understand where they're coming from. I remember studying for my CDFA, and I realized a lot of the information there was a little conflict. It was in conflict with the law. And we were taught certain things as a CDFA that
Mhm.
they should be this way because it's a financial situation. But I knew the law would not allow for certain things. So that allows me to
Gotcha.
tell my clients, right? Because I'm not going to tell my clients, well, no, no, this is how it should happen. I know it will not because you always have to consider the law, right? Because it trumps everything else. So that allows me to prepare my clients in a better way when we're preparing a budget because there's a spousal support on the books and we need to create this budget of these expenses. It's very interesting about that because I know what the court will accept and not. I know what the court will look at and say, oh, whoa, you're inflating these numbers. There's no way you're spending this money. You shouldn't be spending money on this. Which, yes, we can argue all day long that they may be wrong, right? Because we have our own expenses, we have our own our things that we want to, and I understand that, but I also understand the process. So we know that that's not really going to count. For example, there's I remember being in court. This was fantastic when they're arguing about a retirement contribution as an expense, and I remember the judge saying, no, that's not an expense. That is a voluntary contribution. You're not going to make it while you're going through a divorce because everything is changing here and everyone is making sacrifices and you're sacrificing saving for retirement during this period of time. You can do it, but we're not going to count it when we're trying to figure out whether you can pay spousal support or not. So those things I know. Those things I can
Gotcha.
prepare my clients for because I understand them. In all honesty, Beverly, I don't know I could do the job the way I do it if I didn't have the legal background in me because it's helping me tremendously. And
Interesting.
I believe it's helping my clients because it helps them and it helps their attorneys. Their attorneys don't have to worry about explaining to me what's happening. I know what's happening and I know what's coming. So I feel like there is no way I could do it
Yeah.
this way uh, if I didn't have that experience.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You do business nationally and
Yes,
internationally,
well,
correct?
internationally in the sense that, for example, I have a client that is in Germany right now, and her divorce is not happening in Germany, right? When they separated, she decided to move overseas, and the spouse stayed in the States. So I'm helping her with her case while she resides in Germany, but the actual divorce process is going on in the States. So I can do that. And I have clients all over
Gotcha.
the country, really. I have clients in Virginia, New York, DC. I have clients in Ohio. I had clients in California, which the time change is a little challenging, but I enjoy it. I have clients in Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. So yes, I can help and everywhere, and which it helps me also because my legal background allows me to really catch up very quickly with the different laws in different states. Every state is different when it comes to divorce. So it's kind of important to know and be familiar with those rules and the law, basically, for them. Yeah.
You've been doing this a while, as I have. Have you noticed any changes in the divorce process and the way people go about it or just the environment? What have you
So
noticed over
yes, I
time?
started working in this field 20 years ago. Um, there's more information. I think the internet has a lot to do with that. I think people are more open, individuals are more open to seeking professionals. I don't think we are where I would like us to be, okay, in this divorce process. Like I said, I think we need this
Right.
basic team of people that are helping you tackle the different sides of this divorce in this process. I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're more open to that because the information is available. I feel like women especially are
Hmm.
like asking the questions because they're realizing they have more rights than maybe they're told
Right.
and they want to do something for themselves and they don't want this divorce to mark their lives in a way where they are not better but in a worse place. Actually, women want to be in a better place when this is over, and I think that's very helpful.
Yes.
The idea of the taking care of our emotions and ourselves changes the divorce process, right? Because you start thinking a little bit about you and what is that you need in order to move forward. And I think more professionals like you and I are coming out and talking about this and letting women, especially individuals, know, hey, there's help,
Right.
there's experts here, let's use them. Take advantage of this. There's information. You can actually make very good decisions with the right information while you're going through a divorce. It's going to be life-changing. A divorce, as we both went through this process. It's not easy, it's challenging, and you get to the other side learning a lot of things about yourself you didn't know, and wanting to do things differently.
Yes.
If you do it right, you can succeed. I can honestly say all of my clients at the end of the day, when everything is said and done, are very, very grateful, and they feel the hope. There is hope. It can be done. You just gotta invest in yourself and believe you deserve it. You gotta believe you deserve it.
Yeah, I love that about the hope, because so many women come to me without hope. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. You have just had so much information in such a short amount of time. I always like to ask my guests to bring 3 actionable tips that women can take to improve their divorce.
Okay,
What
so
would you
the first one is you
suggest?
have to start a journal. You have to have your personal diary and write on
Okay.
it every day, because that is a way to get your emotions down. You work with your coach, but that helps your divorce coach as well. You put your emotions
Hmm.
down on paper. It's
Right.
really important that we get those emotions out. And even if you're writing them in a piece of paper, and I will tell you, I do it all the time, every day, and I've done it for a long time. And it's very interesting to go back and read what happened 2, 3 years and see how you're growing and how you're
Yes.
changing. And that helps you to keep growing because you know you are on the right path and you are understanding things that you didn't understand before. So I think starting a journal and putting all your ideas and all your thoughts there, it actually brings you clarity because as you're writing down, the clarity is going to come to you. Is
Right.
You're not going to notice it. It's not going to be like, oh, I have clarity. No, it's just going to happen gradually as you continue to journal every day. Um, Second one is which is connected, but you have to find the time to self-care. You have got to take time for you. Divorce is so overwhelming, and you're talking emotions, and these little kids, and their schedules, and where the kids are going to be. Am I going to live in this house? Do I have to give him this plates or the cups or the couch? Who's going to take? It's so important that you take the time to stop and to think about you and do what gives you some kind of comfort, even if it's half an hour. Do you want to read a book? Do you like to read a gossip magazine? Read it. Half an hour. Distract yourself. That is self-care. It's doing something that will distract you from the pressure and the overwhelm, and it's going to help you bring a little more peace to your day because you will need that going through the process. And then the third one is very important. Look for the professionals. Get
Absolutely.
the experts, talk to them, do your research. It's an investment, and you have to believe that this investment is worth it and that you deserve it. So you have to journal to put your ideas out there. You have to self-care, and you find the experts to help you through this. And you will have not a happy divorce, but you're going to have a divorce that at least is going to provide you with the tools to be in a better place as you move forward.
Maria, you have just been so helpful to so many women. I do want to mention one
Yes.
thing when we talked about the team and
Yes.
the order of which they go in terms of coach and CDFA and attorney. That if you are experiencing domestic violence, that one of the first things
Yes.
you should do is call an attorney, and get to a safe place with a safety plan, and don't leave before you have that safety plan
Oh,
in place, and
100%.
talk to
Yes.
professionals.
No, no, I agree.
So I
Yes.
just want
This
to
is,
add that
we're talking
in.
about when there's
Yeah,
no any
absolutely.
kind of domestic violence. It could be emotional too. So yes, absolutely. This is when that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And we need to be very conscious of that too, because unfortunately, domestic violence, it seems to be increasing actually. We're going in the wrong direction. So yes, please.
Yeah, it's at least 1 out of 3 women, if not 1 out of 2,
Very sad.
that are starting to experience it. Well, Maria, thank you so much. You've been so wonderful. How
So they
can
can
our
find me on my
listeners
website.
find you?
Uh,
And learn more.
everafterwealth.com. Directly there, you can connect with me there. There's a phone number there. You can text me, you can call me. There's an email where you can send me any questions you may have. And you can even schedule a phone call with me through my website as well. It's confidential. It's complimentary. We can talk a few minutes to see whether we are a good fit and how can I help you, or what are the steps that you need to take depending where you are. So you can do that, and everything is in my website. You can email me directly at maria@everafterwealth.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Instagram, all of those parts is everafterwealth.com.
Do you have anything else to share that I may have
I don't
forgotten
think
to
so. I think we
ask or
covered
mention?
everything. I just will, I think we did. We covered a lot. I just
We sure
will
covered a lot.
add
Yeah.
this, and it's part of the knowing that you deserve. Do not allow anyone to tell you you don't need a professional. Do not allow your attorney to say you don't need a divorce coach. You don't need a CDFA. Don't allow your divorce coach to say you don't need a CDFA. You don't need an attorney. Don't allow anybody at the CDFA say you don't need an attorney. I think you need to be very understanding that whatever you feel you need to go get, and you need that support. So don't allow people to tell you what you need. You know in your heart what you need, and you
Exactly.
deserve to have that support. So that would be like, I would like to, especially women, to understand that you deserve it. And if you need it, you need to
Yes,
have it because it's
absolutely.
all that's going to help you at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I think that many times as women, we are trained to invest time and money in everyone in our life but ourselves. And this is a time
100%.
you must invest in
100%.
yourself. Thank you so much, Maria, for being my guest today. You have just added
I hope
so
so,
much
Beverly.
that's going to
Very
help
happy to
so
be here.
many
I
women.
appreciate you inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. And to my audience, thank you for being with Maria and myself on this episode of Her Empowered Divorce. All of Maria's information will be available in the show notes along with mine. This and all our episodes can be found at herempowereddivorce.com on the podcast page, or on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also watch the video version on our YouTube channel, Her Empowered Divorce. Please share our story with your friends so we can reach out and help as many women as possible. And join me for our next episode, where we'll be diving deeper into what another expert professional can share to help you on your separation and divorce journey. Thank you so much for joining me today, and stay empowered. Thank you for listening to the Her Empowered Divorce podcast. Be sure to check out my other episodes of this podcast at herempowereddivorce.com, on the podcast page, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe and leave us a review. This will help me reach out to help more women so they don't feel so alone. And share this with your friends. With the right support and guidance, you can move through the process with knowledge, skills, and confidence, and on to a time of growth and empowerment. If you're interested in learning more, schedule a free consultation with me at herempowereddivorce.com. I appreciate your support. Until next time, take care and stay empowered.